Everybody, welcome back to the Identity of Jedi Show. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, because it is Identiverse 2024. So you guys know we had to come out here. We had to get interviews. We had to do a podcast show. We're doing all this stuff. But now we got a special guest, because you guys know all the guests that come on to the show are special. We got a return guest, Mr. Alex Bovee.
We should say that some guests are more special than others.
We probably should say that some guests are more special than others. Although, Richard Bird might feel a way about that.
Okay,
right?
fine, fair enough.
And then Robert Bly. It's just the whole thing. But it happens, right? Just like everybody says, I love all my kids the same. Sure you do.
Sure you do. You got a favorite. All right.
Well, Alex, man, welcome back.
Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for having me.
How you doing Vegas so far, man?
It's good. I mean, Vegas I can tolerate for short periods of time, like a day or two. And I'm on day 2 right now, so I might start fading soon, but I got to make it to Friday, so it's all about pacing yourself.
Yeah. Same here. I don't know. I was happy when they moved this to Vegas because I think it just fits the mold of the conference a little bit more, but it's still just Vegas. And it's a lot to take in.
It is a lot to take in, especially for a week. I feel like the perfect Vegas conference is like a 2-dayer.
Right, yeah.
Where, full week can be a little bit rough.
Full week is rough. All right, so this interview, man, I know we've had you on the podcast before. We talked a lot about identity. So for those of you who don't know, Alex is the CEO of ConductorOne, data security platform, brand new, coming out there competing in the space, doing some really cool things. But today we wanted to focus more on what it's like being a founder.
Yeah.
Right. Part of one of the mini series that we put on this podcast is Founder Series. I like talking to people and just having a real conversation about what it really takes to found a company. Right. There's a lot of people out there that's they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to be a founder, right? And they see all the glorious stuff, right? There's some days, there's some tough stuff that comes with it, right?
No doubt.
It's not always doom and gloom. I don't want to paint it that way, but it's just wanted to have a conversation about what it's been like for you, how you got started, and some of the things that you would tell somebody if they're like, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a founder.
Yeah, I mean, totally. We can kind of take this wherever you want to, but I think, so in terms of just how I decided to be a founder, I think I was always entrepreneurial at some level. I kind of knew I was wanting to start a company, and I always loved, just being very salesy, working with customers. I was a product manager by trade. That was kind of my background.
Yeah.
So I love that part of it. And so for me, starting a company was a little bit of a natural extension of I really love solving customer problems. I love building products. I'm entrepreneurial. I love technology.
Yeah.
It would be awesome to go do this. I think the things that I've learned along the way is probably more interesting. I mean, I when I was thinking about starting ConductorOne, a bunch of friends who'd been founders previously, and a really good buddy of mine is a founder of a venture-backed startup, and I was like, so what's it like? And he's like, it's like waking up every day and getting punched in the face. And there's definitely, people talk a lot about the roller coaster, the ups and downs, and man, for sure, that's 100% true. But I do think in general, that just goes to, I think probably the number one founder quality and asset you can have, if I'm giving advice or anything, is just resilience. It really truly is just, you really do just have to, sometimes days suck or weeks suck a little bit, and you got to compartmentalize it and then move on and move on and move on. Just continue being as resilient as you can.
Yeah. So I want to dig a little deeper on that. Before we get to that, I want to ask a question. Take me back to the time when it went from an idea to you either picked up the phone and called somebody. Walk me through how it started, right? So you had the idea. And you call your co-founder, or what was it? Was it coming out of the shower, a long drive, and you're like, no, I really want to do this now?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely messy. So I had left Okta just before the pandemic happened.
Okay.
I was going to go travel around, see all my buddies, and do all this great stuff. That none of that happened because everyone was locked out. So I was kind of a little bit well, what am I going to do with myself? So that's when I had this idea to start what is now ConductorOne, which is kind of modern identity governance and just-in-time access. When I was at Okta, I was kind of cooking on this idea, but actually, funny enough, having the pandemic happen really accelerated that for me, because I then just started going to talk to a bunch of customers and VCs and kind of sharing this idea that I was cooking on, which gave me an opportunity to really evolve it and refine it and sort of put a sharper, sharpen the pencil on it a little bit. And at the same time, I had known, well, if I was going to start a company, I'd want to do it with my co-founder, Paul Karna.
Right.
He wasn't my co-founder at the time, but I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how I can get this guy. We gotta make the team. and so started kind of having some of those conversations, and then things really just came together. It was so funny. Things really just came together super quick. So Paul left his job. I think we incorporated the company the next day. And then because I had already been, really talking to a bunch of folks in venture and like refining the idea and the pitch and everything, I think we had like 3 term sheets the next day. I mean, granted, this was like, the hot time. This was a frothy time, so I'll give a little bit of credit for that. But I think we did a really good job of building relationships and sharing the idea, and then had just some partners some capital partners ready to go. And so we had the money, and then it was like we kind of knew what we wanted to build roughly, and then we had the team, which we brought some folks in that we used to work with, and so we just had this like pretty quickly like a nucleus of a building team that was building product. I was really focused on kind of like defining what it was we were building, and then doing customer discovery and going out and having conversations. And we were just off to the races.
Nice. So you and Paul came together. You were refining, working with the VCs, having a conversation. So you guys hadn't done any product yet before you got funded?
No, not at all. Yeah, okay. I mean, at that point, it was truly just like we'd talked a lot about ideas and pain points, and really kind of, I would say this is where we started forming the opinion that we really wanted to build this compound identity security platform that was easy to get, because we knew the problems with the incumbents in the space. Right. We knew all the challenges that people had with those solutions. And so a lot of the refining of the idea is like, well, if we could reinvent this space, like what would the platform look like? It would be, opinionated connectors, quick time to value, beautiful user experience. It would solve these problems. So like truly remarkably, if you go back and you look at our seed investment pitch deck, and then you look at like what we talk to customers about today and like our venture pitch deck, it is almost the same still. Like it's really like survived the test of time really well. It looks more beautiful now because we have designers and stuff. So that we've like up-leveled our design game, but like conceptually it's all the same stuff. Yeah. So that's just been like really kind of cool actually to see, hey, this was the vision and the mission that we set out to do, and like we're executing on that. It's not really changed.
So walk me through a day in the life for you, right? What, especially, let's go early days, right? So that first year, like what's your average day like?
So the first year was very different than what it is now. Yeah. I would say the first year was very much a lot of outbound, like a lot of just like customer discovery, trying to get intros and have conversations with people, a lot of like kind of product definition, and then probably spent about a third of my time on recruiting. So just, tagging my network, having conversations with people. Like we were still building up the engineering team and trying to hire designers and kind of get, more of that built out. So that was like kind of early days. I would say now, like truly, I mean, I love this part of my job because I'm kind of I love doing different things. I get bored with repetition. Yeah. And so now my days they can just be very, very, very different. It can be like responding to the crisis of the day. It can be trying to help win a big deal or, close a POC. It can be helping on, kind of thinking about the business as a process and how do we, maybe fix parts of it or make certain parts of it go faster. It can be recruiting and trying to I'm really focused on executive recruiting right now. Right. So, doing a lot of executive interviews and closing our executive team. Always staying in touch with the capital community. It's like ABR, like always be raising. Not really, but like, you got to always have a little bit of your feelers out there and just letting people know what's going on with your business and stuff like that.
So let's talk about some of the challenges, right? Like, I've had conversations with, different founders, right? Having gone through the process of self being a founder. There's those days where like, to your friend's point, like you're getting punched in the face like every day, right? There's something new happening every day. Sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's not. Like, talk me through like some of those times where like it was a really challenging day, and like what did you do to kind of help find balance?
Yeah, the biggest thing by far is I've gotten really good at kind of compartmentalizing things and then just, putting it in its place and moving on, and really just trying to, it's all the kind of mindfulness stuff a little bit, but it's like, focus on the things you can control. Right, right. It sounds obvious, but I think as a founder, a lot of times you just, there's so many inputs and so much coming at you, it's really easy to stress out about kind of everything. But then if you do that, it's really a death knell because like, focusing on everything is really just focusing on nothing. So I really just, maybe there's some tosses and, some ups and downs and twists and turns, but, always staying optimistic, always staying positive with the team. Like that's really your job as a founder. First and foremost is you got to motivate and inspire the team, make sure like everyone's fired up about the mission. And on that note, not trying, be a little bit of a filter. Like you might be getting a lot of the ups and downs. Right. probably one of the worst things you can do is like directly give that to your team.
Right.
Like you're on the roller coaster. You don't necessarily need to like translate the roller coaster directly to everyone else. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
No, it does. Like, listen, everybody's process is different, but it does answer the question. So like if you were, so we have a mutual friend, Paul Lanzi, right? And it's, he'll kill me later for telling this, but I remember like when I first told him, I was like, I was getting ready to, start a company, and he was just coming off, right, his exit, right? And, listen, it's not as glorious as everybody always thinks it is, right? It is rough. There's good things, there's bad things, right? And so he was coming off that, and he was like, as a friend, he goes, ask me anything you want. I was like, all right, Paul, I'm getting ready to start this. He goes, do you want my advice? I said, yes. He goes, don't do it. He was like, find anything else in the world to do. Like, just don't do it, right? And the reason, was because it is, so hard. Like, and to your point, being resilient, I had talked to Andre at Ping and had a meeting with him a couple of years ago, and he said the same thing. It was like, the biggest thing I could tell you is like, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Right. If you can find anything else, like, just keep going. So with that, if you had somebody that come to you, like you're walking down the strip today or later this week, and they say, hey man, like I love everything you're doing. I got a team. I'm getting ready. I want to go do this. Like, what would you tell them? They said, like, I want to go and be a founder just like you. What would you tell them?
I would actually tell them. I would probably tell them to do it. I mean, I love Paul, and I understand where his advice is coming from, which is probably more like advice oriented towards your mental health.
Yeah.
But I think being a founder, it's a magical experience. Like we're just getting started. We have so much more to do, but I feel so remarkably proud of like the awesome team we built, the customers that love our product, an awesome product that we built. Like those things are just so rewarding, and they truly are things that are once in a lifetime opportunities to do that. So I sort of like, yes, there's a really heavy toll to be paid from, especially if you have kind of that founder mentality of like extreme radical ownership, like I will not let this thing fail. I will go down on a burning ship to like make this thing successful, which I think at some levels what it takes. Yeah, so I would definitely tell them to do it. I would say that, there's going to be lots of ups and downs, but stay focused, stay resilient, keep hustling. But make sure you're convicted about the idea and make sure that you're excited about the team you want to work with. I think those are the things that at the end of the day, when you're kind of hitting like, this is actually what I meant to get to the point earlier about, is at the end of the day, the things that kind of keep you going through the hard times is the team that you're building with, if you're inspired about the space and the problem you're solving. If you don't have those things, then it's like you don't really have an anchor to like latch onto that you can kind of like weather the trials and tribulations with.
Yeah. Is there anything that you do, so outside of all the awesome stuff you do at work, right? Up days, down days, like what's some of your things that you do just to kind of like get away, like relax, get your mind focused on something else?
Yeah, I mean, definitely family was a big thing for sure. So I got a wife and 2 kids, and I always try to spend as much time as I possibly can with them. My youngest daughter's super into soccer, so like, going to soccer games on the weekends and watching my older daughter's dance performances. We try to take trips. I try to get exercise in, not as much as I'd like to, but try to do that, like go for runs and things like that. But it's pretty simple. I mean, I would definitely say startups are like pretty time consuming. And so, my priority is a little bit like that. It's like maximize time with family, try to stay healthy, make the company successful, and not a lot of wiggle room outside of that.
Cool, man. All right. Well, appreciate you coming through, man.
Yeah, of course, dude. It's great being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a good time in Vegas this week. So listen, everybody, that's it. Appreciate Alex Bovee stopping by. We will have more content for you coming over the course of the week here at Identiverse 2024 in Las Vegas. You guys know what it is. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. See you guys soon.